Okay, despite the fact this is not a 3-star raid, this is one of the most skillful raids I've seen in ages. So I wanted to post this because I think there's a lot in it in terms of refining your GolemLavaLoon attack. Now, just you'll see this base. This is the base, the Enzo base, which you'll see is one of the best bases going around at the moment. I think it had 660 wins in the 4,100s. I've posted 2 replays of this base getting 3-starred, but both of them have either had both Infernos to single or 1 Inferno to single, which makes the base much easier to hog. And so I've posted some hybrid hog replays where people hybrid the bottom and hog across the top from the multi-side to the single side or just across the singles. So the trouble is you're often going to see this base with 2 multis, and this is the raid I've seen closest to actually 3-starring the base with 2 multis, so I thought it would be worth posting. Now, I guess the reason why this base, this is a GolemLavaLoon attack. The reason why this base might be vulnerable to GolemLavaLoon is, look, you've got the Queen, 2 air defences, and an Inferno. Now, if you could actually manage somehow to take them out, you've really hurt the base heavy. And so the question is, can you actually direct your heroes to take them out? So you'll see this raid 3 minutes and 2 seconds. So obviously the clock was an issue. So there's maybe if you did more simultaneous, the clock would have come out of the question. But anyway, let's have a look at the raid because there's a lot of skill in it. So firstly, let me just pause at the lure. So he's used 4 balloons for the lure. Copped a big bomb on the way through, but notice how skillful this lure is. So he's got an air defense here, an archer tower here. He's tried to drop down the line here to minimise the time it's in the archer tower and air defense range. Probably could have dropped it a tad further north, but you don't want to cop both. So you've got a bit of a dilemma there as to sort of where you drop it. He's tried to pick it so he can maximise his time. These lure troops are alive by watching the ranging of the surrounding troops. So that's something to watch when you're actually picking the drop point for your lure. So there's 2 loons out. See that looks like an archer witch CC. Now, next piece of skill. You've got a point where you've got a draw troop. One of the skills of draw troops is can you put a draw troop which is out of range of any defense. So he's picked a minion. Great idea there. Which is out of range of any air there. So he can actually draw with only using 1 troop. So that's one piece of skill. Second piece of skill is he could have dropped the minion this side, and similarly would have been out of range. But by dropping it here, all the archers will bunch together in 1 group. Whereas if he dropped it here, the archers might have split, and that would take a lot more time and a lot of barbs or whatever to actually group the archers in 1 group. So he's dropped the troop, because what will happen sometimes is the archers will split both ways around the building. By dropping here, they will just pass through here and all the archers will stay together. So that's a thing to pick up some time, but also to use less troops in terms of bunching your archers. Just pull them out a bit further, and then he'll drop a balloon, which will kill them. So now what he does is he uses his minion to pull the witches out. Why doesn't he use a ground troop? Well, he's got his skeletons in the middle of the base. If you can, you want to separate your witches from your skeletons, and a minion's a great way to do it because the witches will follow the minion, but the skeletons won't. The skeletons will see air troop and won't move. And if you want to kill your witches, you want to separate the witches from the skeletons. If you try and attack your witches when they're surrounded by skeletons, the minions will hit the skeletons, the witches will hit the minions, and it will cost you many more troops. So draws out the witches, drops a couple of minions, and boom, they're dead. So he's still got the skeletons to deal with, so he'll pull a barb on the far side of the base. That'll pull all the skeletons across with the ground troop. And then he drops his couple of barbs, drop the CC, a barb, a golem, and a wizard. The skeletons will all focus on the golem. The wizard will kill all the skeletons, and then you'll see here, at some point he'll drop 3 wall breakers, but you'll notice in terms of the timing of the drop of the 3 wall breakers, he just waits for the mortar to land, and as soon as the mortars land, then he drops the 3 wall breakers. And that's important because I don't know how many times I see it, but the amount of wall breakers which die to mortar fire is amazing. In terms of your wall breaker drop, you need to be very careful to let the mortar land and then immediately drop your wall breakers. Otherwise, you can, if you drop them early, you can have a mortar land on them and you'll lose your wall breakers. So at this stage, he's killed the queen, opened the pocket, the golem's coming in, his hero's coming in, so attacks are all looking good, and it's a question about whether he can get them to last to take out these 3 items, and now he'll launch his air attack. So one of the things I'm really watching now is how people deploy their lavas and the loons for the main part of their raid, because I think it has a pretty big impact on how the raid goes. So here, he's dropped, his drop technique is drop a lava, single drop 5 loons, then he drops the lava, single drops a set of loons, drops the lava, single drops a set of loons, and then drops a set of loons across the back. A really interesting deploy technique there. By doing it, lava then loons, lava then loons, lava then loons, that keeps his lava and loons close together. So I guess it means he's dropping his loons slightly earlier rather than lavas go all the way in and then the loons follow. So I think by putting them closer together, that's one way of getting the loons into the base earlier before the lavas have taken too much damage. So I think that's an interesting technique in terms of the drop. The second thing you'll notice in terms of the drop is by going single drop of loons, then the lava, so lava, single drop of loons, lava, single drop of loons, lava, single drop of loons. So he's clearing the base of bombs with his lavas, but he also then drops a extra set of loons down the middle to give his attack sort of more firepower through the middle. Really interesting drop strategy. You can see that it's wide enough given where the defences are, but it just the idea about sequencing your lava and loons drops, lava, loons, and then a second wave at the back, I think is an interesting technique and something I'm going to play a bit with. Oops. So here, first rage into the AD. He'll rage around here, and then he'll deploy a freeze to kill the multi. Now that's a good freeze there. You can see if you got 4 points there. If you drop the freeze on the corner, you capture all points. So he's caught the air defense, a bow to air, and Inferno. Just a well-planned freeze, sort of good part of a raid. He actually runs 4 rages in this attack. The reason why I can run 4 rages and 1 freeze is because you can see what's going on here is he's using his heroes simultaneously to his air attack, and he'll use his queen to take out that Inferno. King's dead at this stage, but he cloaks the queen to make sure that the queen takes out that Inferno before it engages the air. Deploys 2 rages through here. The loons come through all the Telfers, and he's a bit unfortunate here. All the loons bunched in range of a whiz tower and didn't get any loons through here. So what happened there is taken out this whiz tower, but these loons are too weak by the time they get to the final, approaching the final whiz tower, and that's it. So you can see a heck of a lot of skill in that raid. That's a hard base to LavaLoon, or GolemLavaLoon, but you look at this, it's 87, it finishes at 96. Looks like it might be possible with maybe some refinement of that raid. So if you see this base and it's got both multis in a clan war, maybe you can have a crack at it and see if you can 3-star it with both multis trying to mod this raid. Anyway, a really good raid. Let's click through the money shot. So great raid there, and a lot to learn from that raid.